Aloha. Welcome to the Maui Pono Network interviews for County Council. With me today is Bobby Pahia, who's running for Upcountry County Council. And it's an important race. There'll be a primary so that make sure to vote. And when you vote, you can vote island-wide, county-wide for Bobby and all of the different candidates running for County Council. So, Bobby, I have a very simple question to begin with, but I just want to introduce our interviewers, Lucianne Dene, Rita Ryan, and Ann Picathly. So they will be asking a whole series of questions, and I will be muted in the background, but I just have one question that I want to start with. And
Yeah.
could you just give us a little bit of your background and why you feel that you have the qualifications to run for this important legislative position here in our county?
Well, I do have a strong agricultural background, and I've lived on Maui for the last, since I moved here in 1980. Of course, I'm a resident of the state of Hawaii all my life, but been living on Maui for the last 45 years. And, when I first moved here, I remember having one stoplight on the island. And I've just seen the progression of what's happened here on Maui, housing, the utilization of our natural resources, especially water, land, our beaches, and whatnot. But I'm very concerned because I'm seeing. I feel, in my own opinion, that a lot of our people are losing um, the lifestyle, and our values are being compromised for many reasons, especially for the obvious growth on the island. And I'm kind of concerned because, especially in regards to our natural resources, um, we only have so much of all the good all the good stuff that we enjoy over here in Maui, and I don't think that we're prioritizing the use of our natural resources, um, especially in the area of water. And I don't see community being first, and our natural resources, our watersheds, our forests, our beaches. I don't see that being a priority. And I wanna focus on that because I gotta say that my platform is really simple. It's basically a triangle with the universe and our creator on the top, and then we have Aina on one side, and we have Kanaka, or our community, on the other. So in my opinion, we all support. It's an integration, right, of supporting one another and making sure that there's balance, and especially when it comes to prioritizing our communities first above everything else. Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
You're muted.
Okay.
As a follow-up, could you just give an overview of the committees and different ways you've served to really support that vision that you have of community?
Um, over the years, especially being in agriculture, I've seen all the bottlenecks, so to speak, and I've seen all the impacts on our natural resources. Um, and I'm very concerned because I don't think we have a good grip on really uh, what is available. Just weather patterns have changed. Recharge in aquifers are not the same as they used to be. And when we look back in history, we look at civilization, right? Everything was built around natural resources, especially water, right? So if we were either gatherers or farmers, we always had to be cognizant of our natural resources because we cannot progress in a good way if we don't malama our natural resources, because everything is built upon that. How we progress, how we build, how we address community needs, government needs, and so forth.
Well, just a follow-up to that, I will leave you over to very competent hands of Lucienne Dene when you start talking about water. She will follow up, I'm sure, with different things. Okay.
Great, thank you.
Mahalo. People look up to you as a leader in the community, Bobby, and have for many years that I've been aware of. But you've actually held some specific leadership posts really at the county and state level, especially in the ag industry, right? Have you served on different boards and commissions and it helped advise people and get stuff done?
Yes, Lucia, and as you know, I've had a background in CTAR, the College of Tropical Ag and Human Resources. I worked up at the Kula Ag Research Station for 20 years, and I got really involved in our community and progressed, and it's about relationships. It's all about relationships, and I feel that I've had a great opportunity to create relationships, not only in the agriculture community, but the rest of the community as well. And and I've always had the motive of serving community. And in my capacity, I grow food. And as you go along this road, right, you learn about resources. You learned about finances and how finances are moved around. And Luciana, I never felt that, I've always felt that we lack the political will um, to address our natural resources. And I did work at the Kula Ag Park Committee. I'm on the East Maui Water Authority Board, the Maui East Maui Water Regional Board. I served on the Hawaii Farmers Union United as president of Mauna Kea Lawai. I'm a member of that. I'm also a board member of the Maui Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce, and um, just created great relationships in our community. And I've always tried to help young upstart farmers and educate people. And me myself, I've gotten educated over the years. And you come to know what's wrong and right, and what's going to benefit our people, and you got to stand on what's right.
So I'll follow up this with one little quickie. So did a lot of people say, gee, we kind of like how you've done things in the past, Bobby. Would you run for county council and try to do some good there? Have you been kind of urged on by others?
Yes, but I put my place in positions to get educated more in regards to being caretakers of our resources, and also just getting a better grasp on how government works, and whether it's how we leverage government. Um, it's just that whole process that I've accumulated over the years. And you know Lucia, I'm at a point that really I'd rather go surfing and paddle my canoe. But you know what? If somebody doesn't step up to the plate and do what's necessary, I got grandkids. I got great grandkids actually, and I want them to have that same kind of lifestyle and enjoy the values that I had growing up here. So I'm gonna fight for our community and our natural resources. That's for sure.
Well, I'm going to pass you over to Rita, and thanks for this great introduction.
Bobby, you're a farmer. Of course, you're very knowledgeable about all sorts of farm issues. What do you think about the food security or the food insecurity situation on Maui? And what does the county council need to do to provide more food security to the people of Maui County?
Well, you know how we're trying to address the housing issue by creating community land trusts. Well, I think that we need to do the same thing. We have Ag Park. Ag Park is expanding their new section now. That's great. But I feel like we can create more partnerships. I mean, Mahi Pono is a big landowner, right? And we're in a position right now where we're trying to collaborate with them on the water issues and things of that nature. But how's about we leverage their resources that they have, right? And work with them to get more land because, I always tell upstart farmers, you need land, you need water, right? You need to have some funding, and hopefully you can find a mentor. And if we can provide this for our future generations, because we got to fill that pipeline, right? But we can't fill the pipeline if they don't have the resource to even get into it. I think a lot of our people really want to address food security needs, and I mean by farming. I think they do, but we got to incentivize that industry. We got to afford. We definitely got to work on trying to get farm worker housing on farm lots. And the other thing is, it's a county issue, but it's also a state issue. It's obvious that we lack the political will at the state level. All you got to do is look at our budget in ag. That'll tell you, right? And then, but I think Maui, on the other hand, is doing a great job by leading the way by having our own county, our Department of Ag. However, I think we can do some changes there. I'm a big advocate in doing away with this reimbursement program for farmers because farmers don't have that kind of money to come up with upfront and then wait to get a reimbursement done. So I think we're doing we're leading the charge. People ask me, well, what's the difference? You have a county, then you have a state. Why can't the state just do what the county's doing? Well, I'll tell you what they don't do. You don't have that connection. It's all about creating that relationship with people, and the state really doesn't have the capacity. But on the county level, we have that capacity. But the other thing about food security, right? We got to get more people farming. We got to get them land. Got to get them water and funding. The other thing is too with food security is we lack infrastructure. Well, we lack support for the small and medium-sized farmer. Because what's lacking is the infrastructure. When we had the coronavirus, when we had the fires, even when we had these latest Kona low storms, it was very evident where the gaps were in the food chain. And it was very evident because when all this disaster happened, where were we processing food? At the college. We had to go outside and find venues that could process. We didn't have dry and cold storage. We didn't have aggregation and distribution capacity. These are all components that we need and definitely I will advocate for to address food security in our islands. That's for sure. We gotta take care of home. We gotta grow food here, and it's crazy because we have weather that we can grow food year round. We have water. We have land. We just need to create that collective voice to stand up to create policy, ordinances, whatever, so that we can address it. Yep. Sorry, a lot of long-winded there.
No, that's wonderful. That's you definitely have some great opinions on it, and that's what we want to hear. That's what we want to surface in this meeting. You had mentioned a partnership with Maui Pono. Do you believe that should be a public-private partnership? Do you believe that's something that the county should put in? And is this regarding leasing land from Maui Pono that is not currently being farmed? Can you describe that a little bit more?
Yeah, it's just it's leveraging a resource that is potentially available, and that resource is the land. Now, obviously, if there's going to be some kind of trade-off, they give us land, then what are we going to give them? Well, how's about collaboration on the water issue? The deal with the water is we've been negotiating with them, right? We've been collaborating with them. We've tried to create a bridge where we could work together. They don't want to, right? They want to be the license holder, and they want the County of Maui to be the customer. Whereas our position is we hold the license, you are the customer. And they don't want that because I see this as Maui Pono. This Maui Pono thing is a real estate investment. It's a long-term investment, right? And that's why they want the water, because that land, the value of the land in the long term is going to be less valuable if you don't have that water.
Absolutely. Thank you for that very thorough and in-depth perspective that you have on some of the solutions that we can go after as far as, legislatively to improve food security, which is on all of our minds. And if it's not, it should be.
It should be.
Right, right. So I'm going to pass over to Anne now. Thank you, Bobby.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Hi, Bobby. Welcome. So,
Hi.
when I hear about Maui Pono, whenever I see what they're offering, it's in such limited vegetables, mostly fruit, right? That they sell at the store. And I try to use the Upcountry farmers market for all my produce. And it's wonderful because it just shows you what a bounty Maui is for produce here year round. And it's not being utilized enough. And I keep
No,
reading
it's
about,
not.
farmers are aging out. They're in their 60s. It's very lots of physical exertion. Tractors and farm equipment are really expensive. Leasing land, I don't know how available that is, but buying land and then the housing situation. So, what can we do to promote farming? I know that you have the Kula Ag Park, and I think there's others too that are being proposed or opening. But what else can we do to support farmers, to get them going, get them motivated?
The number one thing we can do, okay, to address food security is it's going to take funding. It's going to take funding. But prior to funding, it's going to take the community voice. It's going to take the collective voice. To address any kind of change, any type of change in Hawaii, it takes the collective voice. And that's because, and I hate to put it like this, but we need to use our collective voice as a threat because that's the only threat we have. We fight against big money and special interests. We got to raise. And so how do we raise the collective voice? Well, number one, definitely through education. But how does corporate America try and sell an idea or a product? It's through a marketing and advertising campaign. So we have to start doing it now, so our very young can start getting educated on the paths to address food security. I think that's instrumental. The other thing too is we got to start incentivizing the industry. Okay, so like I feel that because I deal with a lot of younger farmers and families, and I feel that they want to farm. They want to create that lifestyle, that family lifestyle, and they want to farm, but we have to help them. We have to help them. We need to give them opportunity. If we can subsidize, how's about a medical plan amongst farmers? How's about we subsidize a plan like that? How's about we subsidize a housing program so that the new farmer doesn't have to worry about putting a roof over his head? How's about providing them institutional market, like what the Ulu Co-op is doing now, and providing lots of the produce for the school system? We have a market. We just need to raise the farmer to raise the produce for the market. And I'm just a strong advocate for incentivizing the industry and getting our young people in there and giving them opportunity. Give them a jump start. Help them succeed. Yeah.
How do you market your produce? Who do you sell to, or is it?
I have a great problem because there's not enough taro. There's not enough taro available. Every year I try and grow more. Every year I do grow more. And I always say the same thing the next year. I'm going to grow more because I never can fill the market. And that's why I help young farmers. I educate them about, especially in the taro world, I spread seed and I want people to grow more. But currently I serve one vendor in the hospitality industry. The rest is, a lot of it goes to the food bank and it goes to our direct sales local people over here on the island. But we need more farmers.
Yeah. Wow. So are you getting enough water, or were you impacted by the Kona low? And do you get enough water to meet the demands of your farm in, I think it's Waikapu near me, right?
Yes, yes. I'm very fortunate because the Waihe'e intake got compromised, and we all know the Iao intake is compromised.
Oh,
The
yeah.
deal is who's going to foot the bill, right? But regardless, the Waikapu intake was not compromised. So fortunately, everybody south of the Waikapu intake has water. And I believe Hokuau supported the project, Atherton's project over there. So they went and got an allocation from Seaworm for I think it was quite a bit of water. And the farming operation consumes a lot of that right now. Now, just to let you know, the Waikapu stream doesn't flow on a regular basis like how Iao stream flows. So the deal with that is if we don't get enough water, all agricultural operations south of the Waikapu intake is going to shut down. And that includes the golf course. And all my 30 farming operations where I farm that I sublease to, that's going to all end. So the plan is, and I'm happy to share this with you, and I'm sure Luciane is listening. The plan is if we don't have enough water from the Waikapu intake, well, you know that Mike's going to fire up those wells.
Yeah.
And we're going to use that to put it into the distribution system so that everybody south, including Waikapu Plantation, have access to water. But that is only emergency needs. Right now, we're okay. And we just pray for rain.
So you're saying you have a backup
Yeah,
well,
we do have a backup plan. I don't. The landowner does, but I'm affected by that plan and 30 other farming operations.
is it difficult to get to lease land? I mean, for farmers to lease land, like you have these ag parks which are available, but in your case, I mean,
Yeah, and then we have these important ag lands, right? There's these designated important ag lands. I think we should really explore taking advantage of that. And I'm sure Maui Pono is sitting on some important ag lands. I think we should leverage that. It's an opportune time for us to leverage Maui Pono and any type of resources that they have. Because, it's about, unfortunately, they don't want to collaborate, right? They don't want to cooperate and collaborate. They don't. They want that water. And, I kind of have a hunch why they want to be in control of the water. But in my opinion, that's a very greedy, in my opinion, that's a very selfish position. Yeah, they're going to give us water, but that gives them a lot of latitude on a lot of issues in regards to supplying water.
doesn't the state have any control or any influence?
And may I say we need to go on to the next question?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
I got carried
tonight.
away. This is so
Yeah.
interesting. Thank
Well,
you,
Bobby is a wealth of information.
Oh, you
but,
are. That's amazing.
We're trying to balance this.
Okay.
No, thank you.
Yes. Bobby, I want to switch subjects because, while you're a great farmer and lots of knowledge there, you also are a very practical person. And we really need some practical solutions for housing, for safe spaces, for homeless people to park their vehicles while they get back up on their feet again, especially the working homeless.
Yes.
All of these things, laws have been passed, funding's been put in the budget. If you got elected to the council, what do you think that you could do working with your fellow council members to get some results on some of these needed things like a safe space for homeless to park, some housing projects that actually aren't built in high risk areas and are actually affordable long term to people. You know, what do you think you could bring to that discussion?
Well, Lucianne, you know as well as I do that the current administration is a 5-4 deal,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So I believe when elected, those tables are going to turn, and then we're going to be able to put things in their proper and respective orders as far as prioritizing community need and being very akamai in how we administer our resources. Our environment has to come first. Our Aina, we have to. We have to take care of Aina because Aina is going to take care of the people. And we need, and you know, again, I'm going to be one of 9. I'm going to be one of 9, but I believe that we'll have 4 other people on that council that's going to vote in favor of what our Aina and our community really needs and prioritizing that in its proper order.
Thank you. One more follow-up. Do you think that there are places that we should start a model program for having farmers be able to live on their land or near their land? Any ideas where that might be, where we might like look at some land and acquire land and make that possible? Because that's really hard right now, as you mentioned.
Yes, yes. Well, I think number one, when we look at land, we're going to have to look at, okay, water availability.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that goes hand in hand.
Yeah.
So understanding where that infrastructure is so we can deliver that water. You know, you look at the Navaia system, right? We inherited that system. That system is pretty awesome because we can access that distribution system pretty much all in the central area.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as far as upcountry and south side, that's going to be a little bit more difficult. Now, we have access, and you know, we're drilling more wells for Pete's sake, right? And where's you know, Lucianne, where's all the water going? The water's going down to the south side, and the water's going to Maui Pono and their use. That's where all the water is going, right? It was all of the west side, you know, Maui Land and Pine. They were taking all the water. You know, Pioneer and they're all taking the water. But where's the water now? Right? That's what we. Where's the water now, and what are we doing with the water, and who's benefiting from it?
All key questions. I'm going to pass you on to Rita on that important note.
Well, I did have a question that would be a total change, but I think I'm going to hold on to that one because I wanted to move on. We've talked a lot about water and water rights management, but you alluded to my next question, and that's watershed protection.
Right.
So what are your ideas on the watershed? How do we protect our watershed when we're having, you know, less winds, less rain? What are your ideas, and what can you do on the Maui County Council to maybe inform your peers about the need for watershed protection?
Watershed protection is paramount. Paramount. That is the beginning of life, the watershed.
Right.
And we need to protect it and protect it, and also incorporate practices that encourage and develop watersheds, like plant trees,
Right.
like plant a lot of trees. Like, you know what I mean? So that's a no-brainer, right? Plant trees
Right.
all over the island.
Right. How do you feel about water, or excuse me, land use now? There's many ranchers upcountry who basically you can look from down below and look up, and you can see those patches of ranch land where it's been deforested, and it is going to feed the cows, the grass, which is a very water intensive operation. How do we keep the ranchers happy and still protect our watersheds.
So we definitely got to encourage silvopasture practices, right? So it's the integration of trees and pasture land. Silvopasture, that's it. You kill two birds with one stone, so to speak.
Absolutely. And for our viewers who aren't familiar with that concept, can you describe a little bit about how that works?
So silvopasture is having a bunch of trees in a pasture, so to speak. So
Right.
you graze your livestock throughout pasture land that has trees. So you incorporate trees to create more moisture, create hydrolift, and there you leave it sparse enough so there's enough sunlight so the pasture grass can grow. And it's just a very holistic system that I highly encourage.
And the cows appreciate it too because they get some shade.
Yes, yes,
You'll see them all. You see a big pasture and then the cows all under the tree getting
right,
shade in the middle of the day. Yeah, they
yeah.
know. They know. Okay, well, thank you for that. And I will turn this to Anne and hold off on my last question till later.
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay,
thank
so
you.
I want to shift focus to this issue about well, let me begin. The late Mark Sheehan, you may have known him. He was the founder and the chair of the Safe Action Fund. That's the Sustainable Action Fund for the Environment. It's back in 2018. His statement was his phrase, "We have two parties. We have the voter party and we have the donor party, and the donor party wins every election." So, Bobby, are you concerned about the influence of big money in county elections, particularly funding coming from super PACs like the Carpenters Union, and those from outside of Maui that invest heavily on candidates? And the type of investment often goes into like digital, like including those big banner ads that you see on the top of MauiNow.com when you go on every day, all kinds of ads, social media, videos, YouTube, radio, and mail, constant bombardment, right? So how do you counter that? And I
Oh,
just read that your one of your opponents was just endorsed by the Hawaii Carpenters Union, and I wonder how they go about, who do they find, or what is it that is attract, how do they choose who they're going to endorse?
well, they're going to endorse somebody that represents their interests and their interests, right?
Right.
And unfortunately, in the political arena, usually the guys with the most money usually win.
That's the donor party.
But
Yeah.
but there are strategies that one must incorporate to beat big money, and it was proven recently by a good friend of mine who unseated the House Speaker. And it was 3 attempts, but the third attempt, and it just takes a lot of work. You gotta do the work. You gotta pound on the doors. You gotta get out there. You gotta just work harder than the guys with the money. And you know what it boils down to? It's our community. That's what it boils down to. I used to beat up on all the politicians, right? They don't do this, they don't do that, and they do this. But I've come to realize that they do only what we allow them to do as a community. Because I love the democratic system, but it only works if our people participate in the system. So,
And if they vote.
and that's part of
Yeah.
basic participating in the system, right? So, it's a matter of educating our people. What I'm finding out that a lot of our people in the community, because of they have become indifferent, and a lot of them don't engage in a civic manner.
Right.
And what I find out is that there's a couple of reasons that always surface. Number one, they feel that government is crooked, and number two, they feel that their single voice will not be heard, so it is a waste of time. And I hear this a lot, but we're only going to bring about change is if we unite behind the common cause that we all hold dear. And I believe it's through, I stand on this Noel on a lot of things that I do in life and try to understand things. It says that, our people, we perish for the lack of knowledge and understanding. But we can give people knowledge and we can help them understand, but they have to take the tool out of their toolbox and utilize it. Because the tool in the toolbox is no good unless they take it out of the toolbox and use it. And that is by voting. That is by maybe perhaps even signing up to speak at a state legislative concern, going online, how's about getting a state legislature account? So you can either press oppose or support. Simple as that. Everybody got that 5 minutes. And then it doesn't get any easier to vote. You know what I do? I go around, people tell me this, Bobby, for what I go vote? My vote don't count. And by the way, all those guys over there, they're all crooked anyway. So what I do is I always try and find common ground with people, right? Right? Try and find common ground. And the common ground is this. Most people know someone who lives in a multi-generational household. One. And number two is that they know of someone, or maybe their family member has moved out of the state of Hawaii because they cannot afford to live here anymore. And I tell these people, they usually know one or both. And I tell them, if you continue to not engage and not express your voice at the ballot box, guess what? You know your grandson, he probably going to have to move out of Hawaii too. And your great-grandson, forget it, because they're going to be born in the mainland. So I try and find common ground with the old timers and the guys who don't engage, but I also try and reach out to the young, right? And find common ground with them too, and just share with them because they need to hear the song, because they cannot sing the song if they don't hear the song.
I'm gonna apply that strategy to some fishermen, older fishermen, Hawaiian people I know that say, I never vote, it's always corrupt, it's rigged.
Yeah, it's a
Oh,
common.
by the way, you are endorsed by ILWU, is that correct?
That is correct. And I had an interesting question from them. They said, Bobby, because their concerns is what's your position on tourism, right? Because a lot of them are hotel workers, right? And I told them the same thing. Good question, great question. So they tell me, how are you going to get the young people to vote, Bobby? How are you going to get the next generation? How are you going to get them to step up and vote? I told them, good question. That's a great question. Well, and I came back with the same reply. How does corporate America or government sell a product or an idea? It's through marketing. It's through a marketing campaign. It's going to have to start with kids are in the kindergarten, first grade, and start hearing the song from then. The deal is, who's going to fund it? It's definitely not going to be government, because then, they'll lose power. But it's just an idea that I like to just share with a lot of people.
Excellent, thank you.
All right.
Lucian.
Let me move into an area that's on people's mind, which is drainage, flooding, cooperating with the Āina. When we have the blessing of so much water, what do you think that the council could and should do? Do you think that we need to upgrade our drainage policies or look at things very differently? Do you have any thoughts on what we can do to help keep people safe in areas like Kihei and Wailuku, where big waters can come through?
Well, we have to go back in time and look what was the natural process at that time. How did it be controlled back then? Right. Number one, we have to stop building on our wetlands. Don't do that. Bad move. The other thing is mitigating that flooding, but it's a Mauka to Makai address. We have to address both Mauka issues that we can help mitigate the flow, but also make wetlands stop building on our wetlands. Like, thank God we have Kealia Pond. That's a
Yeah.
great example. That's a great example. What happened to the Kealia Pond that was in Kihei? What happened to that? I'll tell you what happened to that.
Right.
They built houses over it.
Mhm.
So, but we can't correct the past. But what we can do is creating pathways from the top, from the very source, all the way down to the ocean. And I've talked to people about this. Oh, why don't we create large reservoirs and make systems that feed from one place to another? And so the question I get from county is, liability. Well, I don't buy that. I don't buy the liability deal. I might say it might be an engineering challenge, but I believe that we have the wherewithal and the engineering technique and wherewithal to address that. We can do it. It just takes the political will. And think about it, Lucian, all the different stakeholders from the top to the bottom. So they're all going to get impacted, right? But the deal is, okay, we're going to create a plan that's going to be beneficial for this whole ahupua'a. Unfortunately, you're going to have to cooperate with us for the welfare of the greater community. Now, we don't want to do any type of eminent domain, but however, we can incentivize and help them. We can leverage their cooperation by incentivizing some means to compensate their participation in creating this engineering design that can slow down the water and aggregate the water, and not only that, but create reservoirs to contain water where we can utilize it. Hello, that's a no-brainer. It's common sense. But again, it takes the political will. And unfortunately, you're a council member, you're 2 years, and the mayor is 4 years, and then everything changes. But how's about we just write it in, create policy or create some kind of charter amendment that addresses this over a long period of time, so that when different administrations roll through, right, they don't change it all up. We can
Well,
create laws. We can do that.
those are very wise words. We don't hear this kind of talk too often. Just building on this same thing, a quick follow-up. So we have potential with the rainfall to collect it, to reutilize it. What about the water from our sewage treatment plants that right now we're injecting into the ocean? The county has, the current budget invested a lot in trying to take this to more productive places, but like all of Upcountry doesn't even have sewers. Would there be any way of utilizing water better in places that, have never even gotten hooked up to a common water treatment system? Do you think the time has come to talk about ideas like that?
Oh, most definitely. We have to go across the full spectrum. I mean, and it's not like Lucian, if we can put people on the moon, don't tell me we cannot figure out ways on how we can address, the distribution of R1 water, or utilizing, the effluent to utilize it in growing crops, for Pete's sake.
Well, thank you. I know we're starting to run low on time. So are we at the last round of questions practically here, Paul?
Yes, this will be the last round.
Okay. Well, I'm
Thank
going to
you.
pass you over to Rita. And Rita, this will be your last question.
Thank you, Lucian. Bobby, thank you for your positive focus and the we can do it attitude. It's contagious. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
My question is, you're in a hotly contested race. You have four opponents in this race for the same seat. Can you tell us and tell the viewers what is how do you differentiate yourself from the other opponents? What are your strengths, and why do you think you're going to win this race?
Well, differentiate from, well, one opponent is kind of clear. He wants to drill a lot of wells.
Yeah,
I am totally against that.
right.
I don't believe we have a good grasp on our sustainable yields in our aquifers,
Right.
just due to climate change. We don't have the same recharge.
Mhm.
So yeah, I mean, like, anyway, I think that'll take him, that he'll shoot himself in the foot with that one. Another guy, great guy, he's a friend of mine, actually, JB Guard, a great guy. I think he's got some good qualities. I think he'll stand up for community. I just don't think that he has the um, experience, the community experience, that creating those relationships in the different arenas in our community. I don't believe he has the political experience. Great guy though, um, and who's the other guy? Oh, Derek Kabilis. Farmer. Obviously he's representing the unions, right? The construction. But, I don't have a problem with that, as long as you build affordable housing units for our people. Not, market rate is not affordable for our people. It's not affordable for our people. So I don't have a problem with building and the construction and trades, but it's creating policy that 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 um, that basically makes developers build affordable homes and construction, that necessary infrastructure that's needed throughout the community. However, I think that we need to create more policy in that regards, as far as housing goes. Um, and just, I've traveled this island, like I've kind of been around, like I know quite a bit of people. I mean, it's just because I've been here a long time and have these contacts and feeding people, meeting people in crisis, the floods, the fires, all of that, and just engaging with the youth. I coach when I was, just been really engaged in the community, and uh, to tell you the truth, and I salute even my opponents. It takes a lot of sacrifice to do something like this, right? It takes a lot of sacrifice, and it's a commitment. And I told my family, I don't know how many more years I get left on this planet Earth, but I tell you what, with the time left I got, I will do everything in my power to help create generational impact and try and ensure your guys' future, that you guys be able to live over here on Maui and don't have to move away, and be able to enjoy the beaches and the mountains and our forests, and enjoy the things that I enjoyed growing up over here in the state. I want them to experience that. I feel it's a good mission that I have.
Beautiful, wonderful. Thank you. What do you think is your biggest obstacle in gaining this seat?
Obstacle?
In the race, in the race.
I don't see anything as an obstacle, and I'll tell you why. We know we got to do the legwork, right? You got to do the legwork, and we're going to do it to the best of our ability. But I'm a strong believer in this. Okay, I believe in there's a creator that sits way up in the heavenlies, that created the universe, and I strongly believe that if my creator, like me, be in this position to represent my people in my community for the welfare, to address their needs, their concerns, their fears, and to fight for their kids, their grandkids, their great grandkids, and 7 generations times 7 to the future, then I'm the guy.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to pass to Anne.
And unmute, Ann.
Do we still have time, Paul, for one more question?
This will be the last question.
Okay. Okay. No, I was saying you're very ambitious, Bobby. That's great. So like, if you were a council member, when the vote came up on this really controversial bill, this is about Wailea 670 or also Hanaua Partners. These were amendments to this luxury development in Wailea, and I'm sure you recall that, right?
Oh, yeah.
So-called affordable housing / luxury development. Well, they backed out of their initial commitment of 700 affordable units and only offering in the end 288. No more. They also committed to a park, even a golf course, stores, and like a ballpark, which doesn't really exist in Kihei, a safe one, and also backed out of infrastructure like the widening of the Pi'ilani Highway. And there was such an outrage for many years, I'd say a decade, from residents of Maui who were vehemently opposed to this, and they still voted for it. So, and this is an example of like a foreign, mostly foreign or outside of Maui owned luxury developers, right? So what is how does this, you mentioned that 5-4 ratio, right, of the council. How do you feel about something like this? What is your response to this? I'm referring to those amendments. It's County Bills 171 and 172 from 2024 that got voted on in August of 2025.
You know, that was a shame. That was a shame. That was a shame. You know, they backed out because it's all about how much money they're going to take home. It's how much profits they're going to take and put in their back pocket. And they weren't willing to invest those profits back into our community because in my opinion, that's just greed. They just wanted more money. And those homes over there, that wasn't for our people of Maui, right? Those homes. And then they backed out of the deal. Wanted the county to pay for some of the infrastructure, backed out of the affordable homes. Why? Because the affordable homes wasn't going to create their profit margins, increase their profit margin. I guarantee you that was that.
Yeah, they even added to the number of luxury homes, taking away from.
That's a shame because our community came out and spoke against this, and our council voted in favor of that. And 5 of them did. And I hope voters remember that. I hope they remember that.
And we don't know that history won't repeat itself. We hope not like that.
Well, again, that's why I'm big on education. I'm big on giving people information. Big on that. We should actually fund the program just to get that information out in a stronger manner.
Well, great, Bobby. I want to thank you for informing our community about your platform and about your perspective of so many different issues. So I really appreciate the breadth and scope of your involvement in our community and the in-depth knowledge you have, but also the many solutions that you are also providing with your experience. So thank you again, Bobby. We will go through our process of looking at selecting the Ohana candidates. And so we're still in that. For the primary race, again, I want to remind all of the viewers that you can vote anywhere in the county. for these different races, even though they're in different districts.
On August 8th.
On August 8th, and people receiving
And before August 8th.
That's right. Around the 21st, people will start to receive their ballots. So again, I hope, if you could also tell your friends about the interviews, the in-depth interviews that we're providing here so that they can really get to be informed voters as we move forward. I think that's so important. So again, Bobby, thank you so much for running for office and for this whole process that we just went through. And we will continue looking at different candidates as we go forth through other districts that we'll be interviewing. Okay, so stay tuned to the Maui Pono Network. It'll be on our website, mauipononetwork.com, and also we'll be sending out mailers and social media on this also. So mahalo for your informed voters who are participating in this.
Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.